What's up guys, my name is Andrew and in this video I'll be revealing how I went from 0 to 100K in sales in just 20 days. I'll be reviewing the product, the website, ad strategies, and basically everything when it comes to this store. But before we get into this case study, at 10,000 subscribers, I'll be releasing my full $1 million case study, so press that button down below. Alright, so here's the product itself. It's literally a sunglasses headband. If you don't know what this does, a lot of girls like to put their sunglasses on their head to get that kind of look, and this product basically solves that. So whenever a person wants to wear sunglasses but they don't want to put it on their head, they just wear the headband and then wear sunglasses at the same time. It solves a minor inconvenience, but it has a really big wow factor since people love doing this. And to start off, we have the GIF and then a bunch of the different colors of the product. So really simple lander. You can't really talk about much about a headband. At the top, we have some social proof saying 25,000 happy customers, and then sale ends midnight, so some scarcity factor. And then from here, we have more social proof with 3,200 reviews and a simple 50% off offer. We did run a buy one, get one free. That was the best performing one. I did split test buy one, get two free. Some other offers, but this was by far the best performing offer. And then for the emoji benefits, we have achieved that sunglasses look, no more headaches, and lightweight and flexible. From there, we have the offer itself where people can select the color they want and then add to cart. We have the add to cart button and then a review. So really simple lander. This is kind of how you should be structuring things, having a bunch of social proof up front. Then some more social proof over here, of different magazines and whatnot. After that, we have a person wearing the product in a GIF. So it's showing them how to wear it and kind of how it looks. It gives them the exact sunglasses look. With Sunkiss headband, you get the same look without having the sunglasses on your head all day. So really simple lander. It's explaining exactly what the product does. And then after that, we have testimonials of people really liking the product. And then a guarantee, which is a 30-day guarantee. And then an FAQ, little FAQ page. Extremely simple lander, but yet it was really performing well. So overall, it's a really simple landing page. You can't really do much with a headband, but if you have something like a red light therapy device or some beauty product, you kind of have to build out the product page more, explaining what the product does, but this is really self-explanatory and most of the buying intent came from the creatives. So this was day one performance of running the product itself. I'm gonna show you the creatives in just a second, but we ended off day one with 140 in sales, 4% conversion rate, so really good stuff. High add to cart rate. We want to get that a little bit higher so you have more people checking out. But overall, looking at the ad account, if we go to April 5th, and we did run a CBO at $50 for day one. It spent around 40 bucks with $1 CPC, $12 CPMs, 1% click-through rate, and a 5.73 CPA, so really promising stuff. So these are the creatives that I did for day one. It was 5 of these creatives right here. We're gonna take a look at them. So really simple creative. All you're doing is really showing the product and how it works, and then at the end stating a CTA and then pushing them over to your website to purchase the product.
I got this thing, so it's supposed to mimic sunglasses in your hair. So you just go, and it's like you have sunglasses on, but without the glasses. That's so cool. Okay, let's try sunglasses just to see if it's the same effect. Yeah, it is.
So for this creative, as a creator talking about the product, now when you're testing, you want to test different structures. And for the first one, I just had music and someone putting on the product. For this one, I want to test someone talking about the product, how it works, and then sending the customers to the website. So whenever you're testing the first couple days, test a bunch of different structures and then kind of double down on one if it works. So same concept as the first one. As you guys can hear, I'm using one specific sound. Now this sound was going viral a couple months ago when I was running this product. So whenever you're testing a product, use some decently relevant audio. You don't want to be using something from the early 2000s or something that doesn't match what your audience fit.
This, okay, look. It's a headband that does that. That fucking does that! I have been looking for a headband that gives me the same effect that glasses does
This creative, once again, a creator talking about the product. This creative itself was really good. I ended up matching this creative towards the back end, having it in the body and the CTA, and then a hook of someone wearing the product. I'll show you guys further on when I'm testing those creatives itself. But for now, I tested this one since it was going viral on TikTok. And usually viral creatives on TikTok do well as TikTok ads.
I can't explain it, but I just want a headband that achieves this.
This, okay, look. It's a headband that does that. That fucking does that! I have been looking for a headband that gives me the same effect that glasses does.
So this creative was actually the best creative I made for this product. It was super simple. Someone asking for the product and how do I get it? And then literally seconds after providing the solution, and after that of the person talking about the product, it kind of sends them over to the website to purchase it. So really simple creative structure. You don't really need much when you're talking about a headband, but it was extremely effective. So moving on to day 2, we ended the day with $700 in sales, 3.5% conversion rate. So really good stuff. And looking into the ad account, let's go on to the 6. We ended off the day with 400 in spend, so a little under 2 ROAS, but we were testing 5 more creatives for the next day. As well as I noticed creative 5 that I just showed you guys was doing really well, so I threw it in a separate CBO, and that actually got the majority of the spend with a really cheap CPC and 21 conversions. Like I just said before, we did test 5 new creatives, and this was consecutively done every single day. As you can see, I tested 5 to 10 new creatives every single day, and that helped me reach 100K in literally 20 days. Unfortunately, I can't show you every single creative I've done because we'll be sitting here for hours on end. But my whole strategy goes like this. You take the best creatives and kind of iterate on it, creating different structures around it, and ultimately optimizing that creative. So like I was saying before, band 5 did really well. I kind of iterated on those creatives, adding a little hook at the start of someone wearing the product or asking about it, and then the lady in the back end talking about it and saying how good it is. Moving on to day 3, we have a massive jump over to almost $4,700 in sales and an increase in conversion rate to 4.23%. So moving on to the ad account, we spent almost 2K in ad spend, and we ended up with 4,700 in sales, so that's over 2 ROAS. And as you can see here, band 5 was doing really well. It had 99% of the spend. For the campaign that we had band 5 in it, we had 1,800 in spend, 0.6 CPC, and a $7 CPA. Those are really healthy metrics, and I believe I served this campaign throughout the day. And I also tested 10 more creatives for that day, some of which did well, some of which did bad. I also decided to test a buy 2 get 2 free offer, which actually kind of flopped. And then I also tested the first 4 creatives because I noticed that band 5 in that first original campaign that I had, this one over here, was getting the majority of the spend, and I wanted to have a proper test of those creatives, and it ended up doing really well with a $7 CPA. And if you want an in-depth tutorial on exactly how to do this step by step, I have a video that's over here, and it talks about everything you need to know about TikTok ads and scaling. So moving on to the 8th, it's actually a Monday, and we ended off the day with 1,200 in sales, 3.5% conversion rate. Obvious drop off, but let's see what we did in the ad account. So I did end up cutting a bunch of campaigns that weren't doing well. As you can see, we cut off this campaign over here and this one, as well as this one. And we did not serve band 5 campaign because I noticed that the CPA wasn't as healthy as the previous day. It's almost at $10. The campaign that I was doing really well yesterday also kind of flopped. It had $1.30 CPC and 0 conversions. And I also tested 5 new creatives and also a bids campaign. Now this bids campaign did really well. As you can see, a 0.57 CPC and the lowest CPA we've ever got at $6.78. So moving on to the next day, we ended off with $670. It's actually a roller coaster results, but I'm gonna explain why and what happened. Looking at the ad account, we had 350 spend, so nearly a 2 ROAS. And I was noticing that we were having spending issues because if you take a look at the original CBO, that a couple of days we were spending nearly 2K a day on, it has 24 cents in spend. So that was a massive issue. And as well as the bids campaign kept performing decently, but the CPA was rising. We also tested 5 new creatives, and I noticed that band 21, we will take a look at the creative in a second, was doing well. So I launched it in a fresh CBO by itself. So this is band 21 creative. Let's take a look.
Man, I'm a lady killer. If I want her, I'm a stealer.
This, okay, look. It's a headband that does that. That fucking does that! I have been looking for a headband that gives me the same effect that glasses does.
So this video is actually an iteration of band 5, the creative that was doing really well. It's basically a person putting on sunglasses as a headband, and then this is actually an alteration of an actual headband that does the same results. And at the end, we have a CTA saying buy one, get one free, just $8 today only, giving them a sense of urgency and scarcity, saying that if they don't buy the product right now, they won't get it for buy one, get one free ever again. So that was a creative that I put into the fresh CBO, and it did all right at $11 CPA. It wasn't as good as a Biz campaign, but let's see what we did the next day. Here we go for April 10th, just 5 days after launching. We had 2.2K day with a really high conversion rate. Let's take a look at the ad account. For the ad account, we have 1,200 spend, so nearly a 2 ROAS. The Biz campaign was performing by far the best, as you can see. And we also decided to test another Biz campaign, and it was also performing well. What I also decided to do is I went to analytics and then video insights. I looked at the top 5 performing creatives and then put them into a new bids campaign since bids were performing and I wanted to put the best creatives possible. That ended up getting a 1.4 CPC and a $10 CPA. So nothing crazy. That was day 1 of the campaign. One thing you guys should be understanding is that I was testing 5 creatives every single day, as you guys are seeing. This gave me enough creative output that I was able to scale comfortably, as you guys will see in the next coming days. Moving on to April 11th, we had a 3.9K day and a 5.63% conversion rate. In the ad account, we had 1,700 spend with a 0.7 CPC and an average of an $8 CPA. We continued to run the Band 5 CBO since it was still profitable, and as well as the original Biz campaign was performing really well with a $7.50 CPA. The second Biz campaign was around break even, so I decided to leave it. And the new Biz campaign with the top 5 creatives did not perform, so I shut it off. And I also tested 5 new creatives. And for this campaign over here that has $8.50 spend and a $7.50 CPA, I actually took the best bid from the Bids campaign and put it into a fresh bids campaign. This is inside the campaign itself. I realized that the $9 bid was doing really well, so I decided to test increments inside that, testing $9.33, $9.50, and $9.77. I also decided to restructure the bids campaign for this one, and as you can see, it is performing decently well. I believe I raised the bid a little bit, and that gave it enough spending power to actually perform well. For bids campaign is basically split testing every single thing and then narrowing down on the perfect bid, but that takes time. Moving on to April 12th, we ended up with $2,200 in sales, 4.73 conversion rate. Looking inside the ad account itself, we had a spending of $1,500, so a little bit under a 2 ROAS. Unfortunately, the CPC was rising and the CPA rise a decent bit. Our Band 5 campaign was getting creative fatigue. If you can see a $2.50 CPC, that's nearly a 5x raise from what it was, and a $20 CPA. I kept the bids campaign going because it was performing well at low scale. It seems like bids campaigns were working well on this ad account, and I continue to stick with that. I noticed that bid 11 was also doing well, so I duped out another bids campaign and took the best creatives from inside it and tested out bids 11, the same thing that I did with bids 9. I tested bid 1133, 1150, and 1177. So when it comes to the whole ad account structure, it really is ad account dependent. Your ad account might favor CBO, it might favor ABO, and it might favor bids. You're only gonna find out if you test. So moving on to April 13th, it was a Saturday and we hit 9.7K in sales. Pretty crazy how the day before we hit 2K. That's how volatile TikTok is. And we also ended off with a 5.95% conversion rate. Looking inside the ad account, we have 5K in spend, so a little under a 2 ROAS, just under a 2 ROAS actually. And I actually decided to test an ABO campaign. I realized on this ad account, I only tested CBO and bids, so I decided to test a high budget ABO campaign with a lot of ad groups, each at $200 a pop. With this one ABO campaign, I spent $4,600 and I got a $7.60 CPA. Looking inside the campaign, I took the best creatives and put them in each ad group, and I duped the ad groups out 10 times. And as you guys can tell by the various ad group spending, I was surfing each of these ad groups. The best performing ad group being this one with $1,500 spend and a $7 CPA. Moving on to the next day, we had a 7.7K day with a 6.23% conversion rate. Moving on to the ad account itself, we did about $1,800 in spend. I believe that's over 3 ROAS, so really good stuff. And I believe I was also dealing with ad account issues, having rejections here and there. But either way, the ABO is doing really well at $1,500 spend and a $6 CPA. I decided to dupe out this campaign so I could get double the ad groups to work with. and that was also having a $7 CPA. So moving on to the 15th, we ended the day off with $154 in sales. What happened was I got too many rejections from the previous day, like I was saying, and the ad account actually got restricted for 24 hours. So I wasn't able to run ads this day, but the next day the ad account will be up and we will be able to run ads. So moving on to that day, the 16th, we ended off with 9K in the day with a 6.42% conversion rate. It's crazy how fast you can bounce back with TikTok. Looking inside the ad account, we have 4.2K in sales, so over 2 ROAS. I continued to run ABO campaigns with this one specifically. 3,800 in spend with a $8 CPA. Really healthy stuff, and I also tested some more creatives and it was doing really well, so I was actually surfing them. And you guys may be thinking, how is this guy ending up with so much spend at the end of the day? It's called using surfing. What surfing is you basically double the campaign or ad group budget every few sales or even every hour or two. But like I said before, if you want to learn my exact TikTok scaling strategy, you can view the link down below in the description. But anyways, we spent 4,200 and we got 9K back, so really healthy margins. So let's move on to the next day. That day being our first 5-figure day, we hit 11K in sales. Moving on to the ad account, we had the ABO with 4K spend and an $8.92 CPA. And this campaign over here, we took the best performing creatives and threw them in the ABO. That had 1,500 spend and an $8.86 CPA. Looking into the campaign that had 4K spend, we had about 6 to 7 ad groups that are really performing well, and I was surfing them throughout the day. This ad group in particular has 930 spend and an $8.62 CPA, so really healthy stuff. I noticed that ABOs was really the move over here, and I really doubled down on that over the next coming days. Moving on to the 18th, we ended off the day with 17K in sales, 6.25% conversion rate, really healthy stuff again. Moving over to the ad account, we had about $8,700 in spend with an average CPA of $8.85. So around 2 ROAS, and actually only 2 campaigns were running this day. This one with 5K spend and the other one with 3.5K spend. All I was really doing here is surfing up the really good ad groups and also taking them at the end of the day and duping them out. So for example, one ad group had 1K spend and a $6 CPA. I'll dupe that ad group out 5 more times for the next day. And although most of the ad groups I ended up duping out didn't do well, I'd at least come out with one good new ad group. Moving on to the next day, we ended off with 5.1K in sales with 7% conversion rate. That's actually really high. Throughout this whole process, I was tampering with the landing page a little bit, optimizing it, and also messing around with the cart upsells, trying to increase the conversion rate as much as possible. Still had the ABOs running, but the CPA was rising. And we also tested new creatives in a CBO and they were performing well, so I decided to surf them. Let's go ahead and actually view these creatives.
Your outfit is not complete unless you use your sunglasses as a headband.
This, okay, look. It's a headband. That does that. That fucking does that! I have been looking for a headband that gives me the same effect that glasses does.
So you guys get the gist. I'm literally taking the same concept and iterating it with new content. This creative right here is the exact same structure as Creative 5, and it still ends up performing really well. So whenever you find a creative structure that ends up doing really well, always double down on it. For this creative, I'm kind of showing exactly how the sunglasses headband works and the same exact result as it gives when you're wearing sunglasses. And for this one, I was kind of testing the water, saying that you're not going to wear sunglasses when it's cloudy out, so I kind of hit on that point. There's only so much content on TikTok, and I ended up getting UGC at the end of the product. I decided to test a new structure because there's only so much content you can use on TikTok, and this video was actually going pretty viral, so I decided to test it. So yeah, those were the creatives inside this campaign over here. It was performing well, so I decided to surf it. So moving on to the 20th to the 27th, I'm kind of going over a whole week here since not much happened. So as you guys can see, after the 21st, it kind of really died out, and all my creatives were getting fatigued. I didn't have UGC content. Looking at the ad account, we had 9K spent and we had 16K in sales, so a little bit under a 2 ROAS. And our average CPA was around $9. It's just when I kept scaling past and surfing, it always rise like crazy, so I couldn't really scale that hard. And as you guys can see over here, the CPC was rising like crazy. Just a couple days prior, it was around 50 cents. Now since competitors were ripping my creatives and launching them, CPC was going higher. There was more creatives creative fatigue, and it was becoming less and less profitable by the day. And just a couple days after this, I decided to cut the product. A lot of stuff wasn't being profitable anymore, and I actually had another store doing around 20 to 30K a day at this point. So I decided to kind of let go of this project and move on to that. But overall, it was a really good run. We ended up doing 92K in sales over just around 20 to 25 days. It was a whole roller coaster of emotion, and our biggest day ended up being 17K. So really crazy stuff, but it did come to an end. One key piece of information you should be taking away from this video is that you should be testing so many creatives throughout this whole process. As you guys can see on my screen, I had over 50 creatives tested, and I basically took every single video off TikTok. I also found one really good structure, and as you guys saw throughout the video, replicated that. So I really hope you guys learned something from this video. If you want to see the full $1 million case study, press the subscribe button down below. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.